and introduce ourselves. I'm Megan Lochter. I'm an event manager with our event team here at PSE. And I am also a EV driver. Our household is all electric EVs. So glad to be part of this event today. I'll pass it over to Michael. Oh, Michael, you're
I
on.
saw that just a second too late. My name is Michael Harthorne. I'm a marketing manager here at PSE. I've mostly been focused on our electric vehicle program, so I've done a little bit with renewable energy and energy efficiency as well. I don't have an electric car, but I do have an electric bicycle that I love.
I'm Connor. I'm an energy advisor with Puget Sound Energy. So I support a lot of various PSE programs, such as rebates, voluntary renewables, and customer connected solar.
Great, thank you. And we'll talk to Connor a little bit later in the Q&A. I'm on the hot spot.
I'll be back.
We will go to the next slide. And let you know that you have already been entered to win a prize just for being here today. So we have entered you to win a Pendleton Motor Robe Throw with a leather carrier. It's kind of a mouthful there. And then we'll include some PSE goodies with that. So we'll choose 2 winners and they'll be notified today. And so very exciting. We will let you know if you're one of the lucky winners. And then we have a poll for you today because we're interested to know what you're most interested in. So I'll bring Michael back for this one. And we're asking, what are you most excited to learn more about today? Michael, what do you think is the most enticing topic for today?
I think it's probably going to be either solar panels or battery storage solutions. We recently had a booth at Electrify Expo, and that's all EV drivers wanted to talk to us about.
Yeah, we do get a lot of questions on those 2 topics. Oh, it's interesting to see lots of questions about incentives for home charging. And we're going to cover all of these topics. I see some other people in the chat have some different ideas. Chargers for condos, we will be talking about that. Chargers and batteries, great. Sounds good. I think we can share the results. Or did we lose it? Okay. I missed the results, so I must have closed it.
I think options 1 or 2 were the top vote getters, which is exciting. Those are the 2 I know most about. So I'll be sharing information on those right away.
Great. Well, let's get into it then. We'll go to the next slide.
All right. So what we're doing today is talking to our EV driving customers and customers that are soon to be EV drivers. For the past 7 or so years, PSE has been encouraging our customers to switch to an electric vehicle when they're ready or consider it for their next vehicle purchase. And I'm assuming a lot of people on this call have done that now. So what next? What's PSE going to do for people who have made that switch like we've been asking? Well, we have lots of programs that can help you get faster, more convenient charging for your home or workplace. They can provide incentives for your charging behavior, as well as adding renewable energy to your electricity mix to make your EV driving cleaner, and also new technologies like solar arrays and battery storage. So let's get into it. First, we're going to be talking about EV charging, where you live and work, and how PSE fits into that. We'll be covering these 4 programs listed right there, starting with Up and Go Electric home charging. So for customers who have not yet upgraded to a level 2 charger at their home, if you're an EV driver, you know most EVs come with a plug that can go right into the wall, any outlet. Makes it easy to charge, though it is slower. If you want faster charging at home, you upgrade to a level 2 charger, which requires electrician to install. If you'd like to purchase one, PSE is offering up to $300 on selected models off of our PSE marketplace. You can get that instant rebate right away when you purchase. If you have a qualifying household income, you can save up to $600 off of these chargers, as well as additional incentives to cover the installation price. For customers who already bought a qualifying charger this year, and there is a list of those qualifying chargers on that website URL you see at the bottom of the screen, and you didn't get a PSE rebate this year, you can apply for a post-purchase rebate just for the remainder of the year, so you still have another month or so to get that in. We can also help you find a trusted contractor to install your new charger, and there's a link for that on that webpage as well. So that's for folks living in a single family home. We'll get to folks living in a multifamily property, a condo, or an apartment building in a second. So I've seen a lot of questions about time of use rates in the comments and the Q&A so far. PSE currently is running a pilot program on time of use rates. We're not rolling that out to all of our customers so far. So there is not a way to pay lower prices currently for charging at night versus other times. However, we do have Flex EV. This is our demand response program for EV owners. And what that means is if you sign up, you get $50 up front. And then there are things called flex events, times when peak energy demand is very high. There'll be a couple of these every year. They usually last about 2 to 4 hours. If you agree to participate in this program, either through your vehicle or your smart charger, we will remotely signal your EV to stop charging during flex events. It's usually just for about 2 to 4 hours, and then turn it back on once that event is over. And you'll earn 50 cents for every kilowatt hour saved during that time period. You can always opt out. We're not going to force you to stop charging at any time. If there's a flex event coming up, you will be notified. And then if you are not able to participate, if you really need to charge your vehicle, you can just readjust your charging manually. So we will not force you not to charge, though you obviously then won't earn the benefits. All right, moving on. So if you are in a condo or an apartment and would like EV charging, at this point, it's becoming, we call it a basic amenity for drivers, more and more people converting to electric vehicles. We will help your property management or landlord out, covering up to 100% of the costs for level 2 chargers shared by residents only. So basically, your apartment building or your condo could get level 2 chargers for the use of yourself and other EV drivers for no cost to them to install and maintain, which is an exciting proposition for a lot of management. So the call to action here for all EV drivers who are interested in this is let your property management or landlord know, send them to that website below and have them apply for this program. Finally, one of the best parts about owning an EV is that you don't have to stop at the gas station. You can fuel at home while you're sleeping. You can charge at work while you're working if your workplace offers chargers for EV drivers, which we believe they should. So our Up and Go Electric for Workplace program, similar to the multifamily program, will cover up to 100% of the costs for your employer to install level 2 chargers for the exclusive use of employees. There are higher incentives available for qualifying businesses and workplaces, organizations. So again, the call to action here, go to that website, email it to your employer, let them know about these incentives, how important EV charging is for employees, and that they can get it at little to no cost installed and maintained. I see a lot of questions popping up, and I'm excited to get to those. Sorry, a lot to scroll through right now. So we'll just move on to renewable energy programs, and we'll get to those questions during the Q&A. So the 2 I'm going to talk about today are our green power program and our community solar program. These are ways to add more renewable energy to the grid to help offset some of the electricity you use charging your electric vehicle. For green power, you can start at as low as $4 per month. That is purchasing, we'll use that money to purchase renewable energy that comes from solar, comes from wind, comes from other things, all locally produced in the West, and we'll add it to our mix, which makes so-called renewable energy in our area and makes the electricity that our customers use even cleaner. And so this is a way to take advantage of renewable energy with no equipment to install for a low price per month. With our community solar program, it's similar, though these are hyper-local renewable energy installations. So we've installed solar panels on a school in Olympia. We've installed them, you can see on a water reservoir there in Bonnie Lake. We also have large solar arrays over in Eastern Washington. And so with this program, you can buy a share for $20 a month starting in the solar energy produced by these local solar arrays. And then you receive offsets on your bill for the electricity generated by your shares. Currently, all our community sites solar sites are full, but there are wait lists and sites will open. So if there's any specific array that interests you, if you go to that website, you can get on the wait list. You can just get on the wait list for any of them as well. They don't need to be the closest one to you. But it's a great way to support renewable energy, especially as an electric vehicle driver, since you are charging at home with electricity. All right, so for solar panels, this is a big question we get a lot. Like I said, we were at Electrify Expo, and it's what most EV drivers wanted to talk to us about. So if you have installed solar panels on your home, this allows you to generate your own renewable energy. Obviously, that can be used to power your home and reduce your electricity bill. It is an expensive process and can take a while. So we do want you to know that. There are a lot of people promising low-cost solar installations and always the most trustworthy. So what we recommend to get started is getting bids from at least 3 PSE recommended energy professionals, all these reps. You can find those links to how to get those recommendations on pse.com/net metering. These reps will help you evaluate, design a solar array to meet your needs, and they've been vetted and trusted by PSE. Once you have a solar array installed, you can sign up for PSE's net metering program, which means that if you're generating more electricity than your home needs, that goes back into the PSE grid and you're compensated for it on your electricity bill, lowers your bill a bit. And then if you're not producing enough electricity, your home needs more than what you're currently generating, the PSE grid is there for you and helps fill in that gap. All right, this is the last slide before we can get to the Q&A. So I went through this really quickly. I'm hoping we can have a great discussion answering some of these questions. So Flex Batteries, this is our newest program. It's exciting. We're learning more about it as we go. But if you have a battery storage system at home, you can earn incentives for hooking up to the PSE grid. Helps us take strain off the grid during periods of high energy use. These are similar to the Flex EV program, where there's flex events a couple times a year when there's high energy demand, if it's really hot out or it's very cold out. You'll receive a one-time incentive check for $1,000 per battery and then $500 in rewards annually. If you go to pse.com/flex batteries, there's a lot more information about what kind of batteries this program supports and how it works. So I recommend that if you're interested or you already have batteries at home. All right, excited to dive into some of these questions.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks for covering all those programs. So for questions, I want to just kind of let you guys know where you can go. So to learn more about EVs, rebates, incentives, all of that, you can go to pse.com/electric vehicle. To learn about renewable energy options, it's pse.com/renewables. To learn about our Flex programs and sign up, I did see there was a question about how to sign up for Flex in the Q&A. You can go to pse.com/flex. And for any other questions, you can contact our energy advisors like Connor at pse.com/energy advisors. So thanks so much. And we can go ahead and dive into our Q&A. We have lots of questions about home charging that maybe we can touch on real quick about the different chargers that are available for the incentive, Michael, and
Sure.
what happens if you have a charger that isn't on the list.
All right, so we do have a limited, it's 3 different brands right now of chargers that qualify for our incentives. The team is attempting to add more chargers to that list. We had been supporting juice box chargers, but the company that manufactures those is gone out of business, so those are no longer on the list, which is unfortunate. If you are looking for something else on the list, or it's not on there right now, check back, we may add them. I know our EV team is working on getting agreements with other charging manufacturers. If you bought I've seen some questions about what if you bought a charger prior to 2024. Unfortunately, those don't qualify for the incentives. It's only if you bought something that currently qualifies during 2024.
Right. And questions about installation. So one person asked, what if they don't need an electrician to install it?
I don't know if that was in reference to solar panels or level 2 charger, but I mean, so if you wouldn't need an electrician to install a level 2 charger if you already have an available 200-volt outlet that's not being used. Otherwise, you're going to need an electrician to install one of those outlets, and also to check your electric panel to make sure you have capacity for a level 2 charger at home.
And then we had a question about if an electrical panel is full, can you still install a level 2 charger?
You're going to need to either free up space on that electric panel. I might let Connor jump in on this one too, but you're going to need to free up space on the electric panel or upgrade it. You're definitely going to want an electrician to come look at that and give you advice. And as I've mentioned, we can recommend electricians that specialize in EV chargers and have a lot of experience and give you advice on that. Connor, anything you want to add?
Yeah, that's definitely a question for an electrician. So we'd be happy to, like we said, get you a referral for some reputable electricians. It's possible you might need a panel upgrade, and although those can be a little pricey, there are some incentives that might be applicable for something like a panel upgrade, such as there's an up to $600 tax credit from EnergyStar.gov. It's a federal tax credit. And there might be more incentives coming from Washington State Department of Commerce sometime in 2025 for electrification. We don't know too much about those yet. They're Inflation Reduction Act funded, but it's possible they might cover electric panel upgrades.
Great, thank you. And then if somebody does need to hire an electrician, what is the recommended process for that?
Yeah, I can if I can share my screen and show you a handy resource on our website.
That'd be great.
Yeah, let's see here. So I'm gonna try sharing my screen now. Just sent a request. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm starting sharing now. So this is our PSE website. Just double check in the comments. Can somebody let me know if you can see the screen?
We can.
You can, okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So you should see the rebates and offers page. And so this is our website. So if you just go to, type in pse.com, that should take you, let's see, right there. And then if you go to the efficiency and green options tab here, it'll bring up a bunch of different links for our efficiency programs, but kind of in the middle here, under efficiency and green options, there will be a page for find a contractor. And then if you scroll down a little bit, right here, there'll be a button for find a contractor. So that'll take you to our referral site where you just enter some information about your address, you know, what sort of contractors you're looking for. And it'll give you 2 to 3 names of recommended PSE contractors, and all those contractors are going to be trained in PSE's rebates. So they can help you with any project. Alternatively, though, you can also give us energy advisors a call and we can get you a referral over the phone.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Thanks for
I'll stop
sharing.
sharing for now.
That's great. Great. Michael, I know you talked to this when you were going through the programs, but there were a lot of questions about time of use for charging, and I wondered if maybe you could take a little bit of time to elaborate on that and maybe
Yeah, definitely.
we
So,
have some questions.
time of use is basically cheaper electricity rates depending on time of day. So if there's a time of day, say over the middle of the night, when less electricity is being used, cost to use that electricity is cheaper. This has been very popular for EV drivers for obvious reasons. It means charging at home overnight is cheaper than it would otherwise be. Other utilities offer this. PSE does not have a time of use program available to all customers right now. Like I mentioned earlier, we are running a pilot program with a select amount of customers to test out time of use rates. I can't speak to whether that will be expanded or not in the future. I'm not privy to that information or how that pilot's going. But if you'd like to be the first to know if that launches, because I know it's been important to EV drivers, I would recommend signing up for our Up and Go Electric newsletter that comes out every month, and that has EV news, offers, and also updates on any EV related PSE programs. So that's probably the best way to make sure you get notified if and when we launch time of use rates. In the meantime, Flex EV is a great opportunity to get incentives and get and earn incentives for your charging behavior, just for a couple times a year when we do have those couple hour flex events.
Yeah, I also wanted to touch on time of use. So some customers can sign up for the pilot program still, but it's not available to solar customers currently because that too complicated for time of use billing and net meter billing currently. But also, although you can sign up for time of use, and it might help with the cost of charging the vehicle, I would caution you to, um, you know, the program isn't going to save everybody money. So, like, if you have an electric heating system, that can be pretty tricky to time the usage of. So just, keep in mind like what realistically you can change about your appliance use before signing up for time of use. Just a heads up.
Right. Michael, there's a question here about multifamily charging. They're asking, does PSE have incentives to install level 1 charging at multifamily residential properties? They'd like to convert every parking space into an EV charging stall.
So level 1 charging is just plugging into a regular outlet that already exists. So if you're just looking to install a standard outlet to parking stalls, no. We do have incentives for level 2 charging for multifamily properties, anything with 5 units or more. I'm not actually sure if typically when we do these projects, it's shared charging, not every parking stall for every unit has one. I'm not sure. I believe that we can still offer incentives. It's just going to be a more expensive project to add chargers for every unit. I definitely recommend reaching out with that electric vehicle at PSE email address and asking about that.
Right. Thank you. Connor, I saw a question about solar. So knowing that solar, we live in Western Washington, it's not sunny here all the time. is it really cost effective to put solar panels on your home?
It can be. So, solar is definitely a long-term investment. So it's if you're kind of looking at different energy saving measures, there's usually you know, kind of a payback period where they offset energy use enough where the upgrade or measure basically pays for itself. Solar's definitely on the longer end of the spectrum. It can take, a decade or more for solar to realistically, pay for itself, quote unquote. Um, but there are a couple factors that will affect whether or not solar might be a good opportunity for you. Um, so rooftop sun exposure, of course, is definitely one of them. You want south-facing roof. Um, you also would it would probably make more sense if you can benefit from the federal tax credit. So you want to talk to your tax preparer before to see if you can get an up to 30% of project cost tax credit. Um, and then there's also, the quoted price of the system is also going to really affect whether or not it might be a good investment. So there are, uh, you know, solar installers are going to charge different prices, of course, but that can vary pretty significantly. That's why I really recommend talking to our local PSE recommended solar installers if you can, because they're generally going to be a little bit more competitive of a bid. So let's just say it can pay dividends or be a good investment, but you really need to do your research for solar.
Thank you. And then there is a question about whether there's incentives for solar panel power banks, so that customers don't lose their solar credits at the end of a bank period. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, so the way solar net meter billing works is essentially if you were to install solar panels, you'll accumulate, assuming you send more energy to PSE than we send you. So on your bill, there will be residential 7 kilowatt hours. That's what we provide. And then energy to PSE. So that's excess solar production that doesn't get used directly in the home. It's sent to the grid. So if your energy to PSE is greater than your residential 7 for a given bill cycle, you can bank those extra kilowatt hours, and that bank can build up from month to month. So generally, if you have a system solar array sized to meet about 100% of your home's usage, you would build up a bank in the summertime, and that bank would carry you most of the way through the winter. But per the Washington state law, Schedule 150 tariff, that bank resets March 31st of each year. So there isn't really a way to, you know, uh, like that's kind of just how solar net metering works. It's not something that, um, you can really change. So there's no real reason to size your solar array more than 100% of what you would expect to use in a given year as far as production goes.
Right.
Hopefully that answers the question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There is a question about just people who are looking for advice and consulting. They might want to explore like multiple different programs like flex saving, money saving opportunities, charging, level 2 charging, lots of different things. So what can we recommend for them?
Yeah. So the good thing is a lot of these programs do stack. So like for example, you could you could participate in Flex EV, and also still participate in other flex programs like Flex Smart for your smart thermostat for your heating system. And at the same time, you can participate in certain versions of time of use if you would like, although not Schedule 317 time of use. There's a few different types of time of use. But generally speaking, most of these programs are going to stack on top of each other. Trying to think of any exceptions to that rule. So as I mentioned earlier, time of use and net metering currently aren't compatible. You can sign up for, let's see here, like Flex. Most of the Flex programs are compatible with each other. But you can't sign up for Flex rewards because that's just overall electricity use, and also stack with any of the Flex appliance programs like Flex Smart, Flex EV, Flex Battery. It has to be one or the other for those. But generally, they're pretty compatible.
So if somebody wants to talk with PSE about their options, what do we advise?
Yeah. So if you have questions about program compatibility, it's probably best just to reach out to our energy advisor team. The website will usually have that information, like what programs an individual program is and is not compatible with. But feel free to reach out either via email at energy.advisor@pse.com or through our EA phone number, which is listed on our website.
Right. And I do see that we just put that in the chat. So if you're looking to do that, you can grab it from the chat now, and we'll also include that in our follow-up email. Michael, do you, I don't know, maybe it could be either one of you, actually. We had a question about offering like vehicle to grid. Is that something in our future?
That's not probably not in the near future. It's something that we are researching right now. The EV team is looking at that. It's just not something our grid supports at the moment, but I would say it's coming. I feel pretty confident in that. We're just not at that point quite yet. There is, if you want a little bit more information, if you go to our electric vehicle page, pse.com/electric vehicles, and go to the FAQ, we do have a section that talks about vehicle to grid a little bit more. It's essentially a longer version of what I said. We're looking into it, but we're not quite there.
Right. And I did see a lot of questions about whether we'd be sharing the slide deck after today. We will be sharing the recording from today, and we can definitely link to the information that's on the slide decks. So you'll get all that after in just the next couple days. Let's see. I know there's a lot of questions in the chat too. I'm wondering if
I've just been we've gotten a lot of questions about Tesla as I was scrolling through there, so I just wanted to address Tesla really quick, get those out of the way.
Yeah.
We do not currently have rebates available on Tesla chargers. That's not our decision. That's us working with Tesla and trying to come to an agreement to get those added. However, if you want to join Flex EV, Tesla is supported through their vehicle telemetrics. So even if we don't support the charger for Flex EV, you can still join with your Tesla.
And is that the same for the battery? I think it's the Powerwall. I can't remember what the exact name is.
It's basically the same sort of answer. Flex Batteries is a very new program. I think we might only have one battery brand currently supported, but we're working on getting agreements with more. So check back. Turns out they're complicated agreements, and it takes longer than we would have liked to get on board with some of these companies.
Yeah, I can touch on Flex Battery a little bit more. So Flex Battery is currently supporting Solar Edge battery systems. But last I've heard from Solar Net Metering team is we We are trying to work with Tesla to hopefully get the Powerwall added to the Flex battery program in the future, but we just don't have those agreements set up at this time.
Great. And then a question from Matthew. It says, do any of the incentives apply to homeowner installed? Oh, this is solar. Sorry, I was thinking that
Oh,
that was
okay.
applicable to batteries too. But for solar, I guess, do we have incentives for homeowner installed panels?
No, so to clarify, Puget Sound Energy doesn't have any incentives for solar ourselves. We just have, if you set up a grid tied system, go through interconnection with PSE, you benefit on your bill for kilowatt hours sent to the grid. But as far as like a rebate or anything for solar panels, unfortunately, we don't have anything like that. To my knowledge, the only incentive for solar panels out there right now is at the federal level in the form of a tax credit. But I don't know for sure if that can apply to self-installs. I believe it can, but I would double check if you go to the it's called the Residential Clean Energy Credit. Um, on the IRS's webpage, they should have more info.
Thanks, Connor. Quick question here, Michael. Do the Rivian and Tesla have interchangeable chargers?
I saw that one in there. That's something I would have loved to have a second to look up. So because I know Tesla's been opening up their charging systems to more brands right now. So example, Ford, I believe, can now use Tesla chargers. Rivian has its own charging system. Things have been changing so fast. I hesitate to answer this one without looking it up. I believe Rivian and Tesla are not compatible at this point. Though in general, companies do sell adapters. So if you have a Tesla, you can buy an adapter that lets you use a non-Tesla charger. Going back the other direction, Tesla's been slowly opening up their charger network to other vehicles. I don't believe Rivian is there yet, but I may be wrong on that.
That's great news.
There you go. So someone put in the chat that there's an adapter that allows Rivian to charge at Tesla charging sites. So still requires an adapter.
Okay.
I saw another solar question. Sorry to interject that I think I was going to type the answer to, but I think I accidentally dismissed. So it was about the ratio of kilowatt hour credits. So for each kilowatt hour with solar that you send to the grid as energy to PSE, yes, that is a 1-to-1 kilowatt hour that you wouldn't have to pay for kilowatt hours from PSE. So just wanted to clarify. Sorry for dismissing your question without answering it in the chat, whoever you were.
Thanks, Connor. Yeah, jumping around a little bit here. Sorry about that. But we did have another question about multifamily charging. Michael, do you know, does that program require that stalls have existing outlets or chargers already installed before level 2 chargers can be installed?
Nope. We do require you to designate a certain number of parking spots for EV charging. And our incentives, they cover installation so basically if you don't have wiring yet where you're going to do it, the installation cost will be higher. It may eventually exceed what our incentives are providing. But the incentive will cover installation work, so which includes, adding outlets where they're needed if they don't exist already. The major requirements for multifamily properties are basically you need to have 5 or more units, need to be a PSE Electric customer. And then, there's a bunch of other ones, but those are the main ones to start off to see if you qualify.
Great. And then we have a question here from Alyssa asking, What upgrades need to be done to the grid to support not only more EV use, but more electric users in general, especially with homes converting to electric stoves, ovens, heatings, etc.
Yeah. I'm gonna let Connor jump in on this in a second too, but PSE overall is confident their grid can handle challenges of electrification as we move forward. That is part of why we're introducing a lot of these new programs, especially around the Flex brand. Those are our demand response programs, and that's important to spread out the use of electricity and also reduce it during times of high use elsewhere. So we're going to be introducing more programs based on grid health. But as a company, we're confident we can meet the challenges moving forward.
Yeah, I can also touch on that. So a lot of the strategy there is actually, um, like Michael said, on the energy efficiency side of things. Although there are, some uh, areas where we are, of course, upgrading infrastructure. It's not quite as much my wheelhouse, so I don't know what those changes are looking like. But yeah, essentially the power grid, you might know, uh, power demand fluctuates from day to day and season to season. So typically we see the most electricity demand and therefore need to supply the most electricity during winter time and especially mornings and evenings or when we see the highest grid demand. So that's why there are some programs like Flex, as well as many of our rebates, which are designed to incentivize more energy efficient appliances to kind of smooth off those big spikes in energy demand. But we of course can address those periods of high demand, but it's typically going to be like firing on more power plants. They're usually on standby. Um, so it's there's kind of two sides to tackling that. There's generation on the demand side, or excuse me, generation on the supply side, and then energy efficiency on the demand side.
Thank you. Um, Connor, we had a question about customers who are interested or are already participating in community solar. Um, can you let us know how when they purchase a share, right, they get a credit on their bill. Where do they see that reflected on their bill?
Yeah, so all of the voluntary renewable programs, including community solar, will show up on usually the second page of your bill invoice under electric detail information. And they're actually going to be in green font. So most of the bill line items are going to be in, standard like black font. But community solar will show up as a green line item. So generally speaking, you'd see like, community solar charge, $20 per share, and then community solar credit. Let's say your community solar share generated about $15 worth of electricity. So you'd see the $20 charge line item, and then right below that, the $15 credit line item. So yeah, that's where you'd find it.
Great, thank you. Let's see. Sorry, I'm scanning through here. Connor, do you want to, I know you're answering this question, but do you want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit more about vehicle to grid to help with usage spikes?
Yeah, I guess I can touch on that. So I don't really touch vehicle to grid in my day to day, but I do touch on solar net metering a lot.
Okay,
So part of the concern with anything that's pushing power to the grid, we want it to do so safely. So with solar, there's a whole interconnection process where If you want to install solar panels, you need to work with your installer, and the installer would reach out to Puget Sound Energy. With a system schematic, we'd make sure that the system is all like safe to operate. Like they're all approved components for use at the power grid. Um, and then we give approval to construct. And, once that's done, there's a labor and industries inspection to make sure that the electrical components are safe to operate within the home. And then there's another safety inspection by PSE Journeyman to make sure that the solar array isn't going to push power to the grid during an outage. So two-way power is, definitely a safety concern for us as a utility. So it's whatever vehicle to grid is going to look like, it's probably not going to be as straightforward as just plugging your vehicle in and then uh, you know, getting credit for doing so, at least not at this point. So I think that's why it's not available yet. Definitely something I think I can say that PSE is interested in pursuing, though. Just need to work out the safety concerns.
Right. And then any info on vehicle to home?
Yeah, that's a good question. So again, this isn't really my wheelhouse. I know there are certain battery systems that can operate in parallel to the grid, but I don't know if those require interconnection. Um, but without those battery systems, I don't know if there is a way to isolate the I'm not an electrician, so I again out of my comfort zone a little bit, but no, we currently don't allow vehicle to home either, unfortunately.
Got it.
So it could still result in power going to the grid.
Great. Um, let's see. Michael, did you see anything I missed in the chat or the Q&A?
Let's see. I saw some questions about if I don't have a level 2 charger and I'm doing fine as an Audi owner. Do I need to upgrade to a level 2? So if you have an electric vehicle and you're getting by with just plugging into the wall, I know that's a lot of my coworkers who drive an electric car are fine just plugging to a typical outlet overnight and they get enough for their daily driving needs. That's great. A reason to upgrade to a level 2 charger, especially as an Audi owner, is if you want to participate in Flex EV. We currently don't support telemetrics from Audis at the moment. So you could buy a qualified charger to join the Flex EV program, or if you just want faster charging at home or to be able to control your charging, I guess you can probably do that through the Audi, but you also have remote charging control through a lot of like smart chargers that you can purchase.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm one of those that just plugs in to a standard outlet with my EV.
Sorry, somebody else asked about another level 2 home charging question about what rebates are offered and if there's a cap for the rebate.
Yeah.
So that is the Up and Go Electric home charging program. You can get $300 off a level 2 charger, qualified level 2 charger. You buy those through our PSE marketplace. It's an instant rebate. You get up to $600. If you have a qualified income, there's a link for that on the webpage too to see if your income qualifies for the $600. If it does, you also get an additional incentive to cover installation costs, the cost of an electrician. However, there's no income cap on that, so you can still get the $300 off no matter what your household income is. So that answers that, hopefully.
Right.
Before we,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to suggest before we get to the end of the event, I was wondering if I could maybe share my screen one more time, just so I can show everybody some resources that might be helpful after the event.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so here I'm gonna share my screen here. And so this is going to be our website. Let me know when you can see it. All right. Um, so a lot of the resources we talked about today are going to live under the efficiency and green options tab. So if anybody has questions about these programs after the event that they're unable to answer, I recommend checking the website first. Our energy advisor team can help, but there's only 8 of us and there's a couple hundred of you, so uh, might not be able to answer everyone's questions immediately. But website's a great tool. So, like for example, if you go to pse.com and then click on efficiency and green options, you can go to the Flex page, and there will be information on all of our Flex programs currently available. And then if you, like for example, if you're interested in Flex EV, you can click on the program link. And the Flex programs do have their own support number outside of our energy advisor team. So you can find their contact info there. If you have questions about Flex, rebates are just going to be right under that. So if you have questions about any of our rebates, this is our rebates homepage where you can find, uh, information. Oh, whoops, sorry, this is Flex EV. For example, our EV charger rebate. You can find the requirements, a list of qualifying chargers, and then the application on the bottom. Most of our rebates are like that. Then there's the find a contractor page, which I went to earlier. And yeah, there's also program pages for our voluntary renewables like green power, community solar, and if you're interested in installing solar panels, customer connected solar is going to be a great resource. And then over here, we actually have our own column under efficiency and green options for electric vehicles. So lots of resources between the website, our energy advisor team, and PSE contractors will most likely be able to help you out. So anywho, just thought I'd share before noon.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thanks, Connor.
Yeah.
Great. Well, we just have a couple of reminders for today and want to thank everyone for being here. We can go to the next slide, please. And just a reminder, we will be sending out the recording resources in the next couple days. You've been entered to win this Pendleton Motor Robe throw. We will notify you today if you're one of those lucky winners. And most importantly, there will be a survey after today's event, and we would love to hear from you. It'll just pop up when the event ends, and it's anonymous. We'd love any feedback from you. And we just really appreciate your time being here today and hope you have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday. And take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Happy Halloween tomorrow.
Yeah, happy Halloween. Thanks,
Bye,
Michael.
y'all.
Thanks, Connor.